How long have you known about Andrew? How long have you known about Andrew?
Spoil it.
Well, what? I'm just asking a question.
Why you would want to ask him that question at this particular time? Why you were
It's the only chance I get to speak to him. I've never had a chance to speak to him before, and I wanted to know the answer.
Okay, so I've got two things to say about that. Breaking today, Prince William has just been heckled again, this time on a visit to Cornwall in a hard left campaign which has been organised by the Republic organisation. Now, I'm going to show you both what the Republicans want you to see of William's visit and what actually happened, which is that William completely charmed the locals in Cornwall and was widely adored. But I don't think we can ignore that what is going on at the moment is very much a plot and a plan to undermine the British royal family and to ensure that the Andrew Mountbatten Windsor scandal infects other members, including Prince William, who, by the way, I must point out, had nothing to do with the £12 million payoff to Virginia Giuffre, was still at university when Andrew's alleged crimes were conducted, and who had argued last year for his father, King Charles, to remove his uncle from the line of succession, and who argued 6 years ago to his grandmother, the late Queen Elizabeth II, that Andrew Mountbatten Windsor should be banished from royal life. So for Republic to try and intellectually link Prince William, our uncorrupted heir to the throne, to Andrew Mountbatten Windsor is going to fail because the facts do not match up. But here is what happened. And again, I just stress, this is a propaganda video, but I still want you to see it. This from Republic.
How long have you known about Andrew? How long have you known about Andrew?
Spoil it.
Well, what? I'm just asking a question.
It's a present visit. Why you would want to ask him that question at this particular time? Why you were
It's the only chance I get to speak to him. I've never had a chance to speak to him before, and I wanted to know the answer.
What were you looking to get from that question then?
Oh, he hopes for an answer for being
No, not at all. You don't want to give me your details?
No.
You don't. Right, thank you.
Okay, so I've got two things to say about that. Firstly, immediately, the police need to stop this overreach. That's embarrassing. We are a country that has free speech, and the police should not be questioning members of the public who heckle members of the royal family. Can I just say that? And you know I'm a royalist and I'm monarchist, and I thought that it was disrespectful. But really, the police have better things to do. That man was not violent. He did not pose a threat. He was a hard left propagandist for the Republic organisation, but he shouldn't have been questioned. So that's the first thing I would say.
Royal engagements are usually designed to feel predictable. When senior members of the monarchy visit towns or cities, there's a rhythm to the day. Greetings from local officials, brief conversations with community members, and carefully staged walkabouts. That same expectation surrounded the recent visit by the Prince of Wales, Prince William, during his time in Cornwall. The region has long been connected to the Prince of Wales through the Duchy of Cornwall, meaning visits there carry both symbolic and practical importance. For many residents, these events are an opportunity to see a future king up close. They're moments that help maintain the monarchy's public presence and remind people that the institution is still active within modern British life. But even the most carefully planned appearances can shift in seconds.
The second thing I would say is that, isn't it such a shame that William didn't engage? Now, again, I know a lot of you will say that would have been the wrong thing to do, but I disagree, because William is such a nice guy. And you saw that even once he was being heckled, he actually listened very closely and he said sorry and he looked up. So he was ready to engage in the conversation, clearly thought better of it. But it would have been so powerful. It would have been such a powerful moment for William to say, I knew nothing about that and I had nothing to do with it. But we are here today to mark Cornwall's National Day, and that's what I'm going to do. Personally, I think that would have been powerful. But you did see the lovely side of William, didn't you? And he was disappointed because why on earth should his engagements continue to be overshadowed by his wayward uncle? Now, William very quickly showed why he is the secret weapon for the British royal family, why he is down to earth, and why once he is king, this modernisation project is going to step up a gear. Because visiting Gare Farm Pasty Company in Helston, he not only helped make the pasties, he took a phone order from a member of the public who, by the way, had absolutely no idea that she was speaking to the future king, sorry, and it led to this hilarious moment.
And on this occasion, what began as a routine public engagement suddenly turned into a reminder that the monarchy doesn't exist without controversy. Because while many people came out to welcome William, not everyone in the crowd was there to cheer. A protester began shouting criticisms connected to one of the most controversial figures associated with the royal family in recent years. The name being shouted was that of Prince Andrew. Although Andrew stepped away from royal duties years ago, his controversies have left a deep mark on the public conversation about the monarchy. For critics, his situation has become a symbol of wider frustrations about accountability and privilege within the institution. And for activists who oppose the monarchy entirely, raising Andrew's name during royal appearances is a way to force uncomfortable questions into the spotlight.
What name is that?
I'm just waiting for him to turn.
Juicy. Josie. Sorry, Josie. I thought you said Juicy. I apologize. We've got it. We've got it. The pasties will be juicy, all right. We've got 15 pasties named down for 145. 5 freshly cooked ones and 10 frozen. Bye-bye, Josie. Bye.
Now, you've got to admit, that was a great moment. William thought Josie was called Juicy, which would have been quite interesting, and he was able to have a laugh. And it was just a really feel-good moment. And actually, Josie then did go to pick up her order from the pasty company and had no idea that she was speaking to the future king. William and Catherine separated their efforts today. The Princess of Wales made a surprise appearance in Leicester, where she absolutely delighted members of the Hindu community before going to several family-run businesses on Leicester's famous Golden Mile. But again, it was the optics of this visit that really mattered. For a long time, people suggested that Catherine would never return to full-time royal duties after her cancer battle. That has not turned out to be the case, and she is the jewel in the crown of the British royal family. Of course, things continue to get bad to worse for Andrew Mountbatten Windsor, and I will come to that very shortly. But first, I want to bring Leo Kearse in on this. Leo, what do you make of this Republic organisation heckling in a moment where William could have naturally engaged with that man and said, "What are you talking about? I knew nothing about this"?
I don't think engaging with them. They've obviously got an agenda that they want to push, and fair play to them. I think they're voicing the concerns and the anger of a swathe of the British public, so they should be allowed to do that. I hope it doesn't mean that the royals pull back from meeting the public, because that would be such a shame. I think the royals could, handle this better, perhaps using their trump card, Wills and Kate. Wills and Kate are the saviors of the royal family. And I think if Charles stood down, perhaps, moved to another country to become a ruler there. I know Iran is looking for a new ruler these days. Then possibly that could save the royal family. And Wills and Kate could step in. I mean, thank God they've got Wills and Kate there to come in. My daughter's just walked into the studio. Like,
are you being very distracted right now?
Yeah.
Well, look,
she's wondering.
She can't.
She's not 25 or anything. She's 3.
Well, she can't hear this next bit though, Leo, because it's.
Oh no, this is purely coming
good,
through here.
Good, because this is a little bit dark. Andrew Lowney, the author of Entitled, suggesting that Andrew Mountbatten Windsor is on suicide watch.
A visitor to his temporary home at Sandringham at the weekend, the King's domestic chaplain. The headline is "Confess Any Sins." The ex-Duke sees the Sandringham priest a few hours before the King. What's he confessing his sins, Andrew, do you think, or looking for divine inspiration of how to get out of the hole he made?
Well, who knows? I mean, he may be finding religion now. I think it's just they've taken pity on him. I mean, no one else is visiting him, so I suppose the local vicar should.
Do you think that... genuinely, I like your point, because we read about Fergie. She's in some wellness clinic talking about mental illness and everybody's out to get me. You've got to paint the picture of this guy sat on his own in Sandringham, and I'm going to ask the question that everybody will probably get upset about, and you can dump it if you want. I suspect there are many people who are feeling he's so ostracised he can't even go horse riding. Are they worried about his mental health and what he might do to himself?
Well, that's been a message from the palace for a long time, even when my book came out in August, that he was on suicide watch. I mean, everything I'm told from people close to him until very recently was that he still hasn't really sort of understood the seriousness of what he did and his position. He's more concerned about where he's going to park his car.
How do you feel, Leo Kearse, about whether there has been too much of a pile on Andrew Mountbatten Windsor? And at the end of the day, we don't want another unaliving in this story, do we? I don't believe for a single moment that Jeffrey Epstein committed suicide. I think he was taken out. But we don't want that, do we? Because if Andrew were to be unalived as well, then there is no conclusion there.
The protesters' remarks weren't just aimed at William personally. Instead, they were aimed at the institution he represents and the unresolved issues critics believe still surround it. This kind of disruption may seem small in the moment, but its impact can echo far beyond the event itself. Because in the age of social media, even a brief exchange can travel across the world in minutes. The protest was linked to activists associated with Republic, a campaign organization that has long advocated for the United Kingdom to replace the monarchy with an elected head of state. For years, Republic has used public demonstrations to challenge royal events and spark conversations about whether the monarchy should continue in its current form. Their approach is simple: choose moments where the royal family is already attracting public attention.
Something that's dogged this whole narrative, not just Jeffrey Epstein, but also Virginia Giuffre. It's very tragic, and I think for somebody with an ego like Prince Andrew, it is a risk. For men, our status is so important, and not that I'm saying he doesn't deserve some sort of pylon, but I mean, the weight of public opprobrium on his shoulders. This is something that Japanese lords would a Japanese lord would have done it by now. I don't know if he could go into exile like so many other royals have done. I think the former Spanish royal is in Dubai. I don't know if he's still in Dubai with what's going on there now, but I mean, Andrew's probably used to that. He'd do quite well because he can't sweat. But I don't know if he can find an escape or if that would help the royals. I can't see. I really do think that he's surrounded himself. He's quite a pompous man. He's surrounded himself with yes men who tell him exactly what he wants to hear, and he won't, he'll fire anybody who doesn't tell him what he wants to hear. And so, and that really came across in that Newsnight interview where he really, you could see that his idea of who he was and how he was presenting himself was so detached from the reality of what was happening. So now that it's all really coming down, the House of Cards is crashing down, he really could be a risk. But also, I don't think it should be used as a threat. As in the police shouldn't pursue anything because he might do something. So that's the risk. Anybody who's pursued by the police is going to feel terrible. So that's the risk he's taken. And some of the things he's being pursued for around state secrets, around abusing his position as a trade envoy. Obviously, they're just allegations at the moment, but that's serious stuff. When I was at the Foreign Office, I had to sign the Official Secrets Act, and I had to agree to various protocols. And I knew it would be a big deal if I shared any information with with a billionaire financier, regardless of what was going on at parties at a tropical island.
Yeah, what's interesting is that the Daily Telegraph is reporting today that because when Andrew actually took the job, things were so vague, it may actually be his get out of jail card, literally. Like, it's possible that the misconduct in public office allegations will fall. It's damning, by the way, this in-depth feature by Gordon Rayner, the associate editor of The Telegraph. I just want to take you through some of the key moments. He writes, in his 10 years as trade envoy, Andrew cost the taxpayer almost £15 million in travel expenses and police protection. In 2009 alone, he undertook 550 engagements as a trade envoy, according to his own account. Dubbed Air Miles Andy by the tabloids, he had a habit of tacking on visits to world-class golf courses, ski resorts, and pleasure domes when he went abroad on official business. And he had an unfortunate habit of choosing the wrong friends. Andrew knew Epstein, who had stayed as his guest at Sandringham in December 2000. A deep dive into Andrew's friendship might have raised alarm bells, notwithstanding the fact that Epstein had not come under investigation at this stage. But as one diplomatic source says, there wasn't any due diligence done when he got the job. We had the Duke of Kent doing it, so it was just accepted that a member of the royal family would replace him. The appointment process was so vague, in fact, that there is a sense in Westminster that it might be difficult for police forces now investigating him for misconduct in public office to prove that he was ever legally in a public office at all. The closest thing to a vetting process, it seems, was a warning from Andrew's older brother Charles that he was a disaster waiting to happen, but his pleadings to the late Queen went unheeded. A source said we would get a lot of complaints about Andrew's behaviour at cocktail parties, where he would ignore the main guests, concentrate on the girls, and leave early. We would get several a year. In fact, they probably covered most of his official visits. Ministers in the Foreign Office and the Trade Department were told about it, and it was reported back to Buckingham Palace as well, so people around the Queen would have known about it. The palace knew it was a problem for years, but it was seen as a problem that had to be managed. A typical example comes from a former royal aide who says there was a trip to China that the royal Princess Anne did in 2005, and the last person that had gone there was Andrew. The staff at the British Embassy said what they needed her to do was repair all the damage he had done when he was there. His trip had been catastrophic. He has an exceptionally short temper that would go up and down again in the space of a few seconds, but the things that would annoy him would be ridiculous and pathetic. There was one occasion in America when he saw red and tore a strip off his private secretary about his travel arrangements in front of a group of people he had never met before. This was their one meeting with royalty. It was probably something they had been waiting 6 months for, and he did that, but no one took him to task. He would call staff at 6 a.m. and scream down the phone at them over something he had read in the papers, and he berated police officers, calling one a lardy C-word when he refused a female friend of Andrew's entry to Buckingham Palace. One former royal aide recounted what happened when they did try and stand up to Andrew, saying, I was in a car with him and I said to him, please don't bring your golf clubs on royal visits. He threw a pencil at my head and told me not to tell him what to do. Some ambassadors expressed surprise that Andrew insisted on staying in five-star hotels during his visit rather than staying at the ambassador's residence. It meant that his retinue and police protection officers also had to stay at the same hotels at vast expense to the taxpayers. On one 3-day trip in 2010 to the World Economic Forum in Davos, he and 4 staff spent £19,200 on meals, accommodation and entertaining dignitaries. In the same year, he ran up a £33,800 bill on an 11-day trip to the Middle East, and we now know that he charged the cost of his massages to the taxpayer. So Leo Kurz, I mean, quite damning examples, but the fundamental from that piece, though, is that it looks like he's probably going to get away with
and
this.
introduce a dissenting voice into the crowd. From a campaign strategy perspective, it works. Even when the protest itself lasts only seconds, the resulting headlines and viral clips ensure the message reaches millions. And in many ways, the modern media environment amplifies these moments more than ever before. A protest that might once have been seen only by a few dozen people standing nearby can now become a global talking point within hours. One of the most fascinating aspects of moments like this is how the royals respond. Members of the royal family are trained from a young age to maintain composure during public engagements. Their role requires them to remain calm in the face of criticism, awkward questions, or unexpected disruptions. For Prince William, maintaining that calm is especially important.
Yeah, if he wasn't an actual official job, if he didn't have an official job title, how can you discipline him? He didn't have an HR department apart from his mum. Yeah, maybe that'll be the way he gets away with it. I don't know if there are other things that he could get away with. I'm pretty sure he would have signed, the Official Secrets Act as a bare minimum. I don't know what other NDAs he would have had to sign when he's dealing with these things. Working in government, I did hear stories about how he behaved and how the Duchess of Pork, how his ex-wife behaved as well. So when these people, the level of entitlement is just insane. Bearing in mind, they haven't really achieved anything. All they've done is been born through the right pelvis. And in her case, she married the right guy, or the wrong guy, as it turned out. And the level of entitlement they grow to achieve is just insane. So her request for a hotel room when she go to travel somewhere, the bathroom had to be set up a certain way, had to have all these specific ointments and gels and fancy things in it. It's not like me at the Travelodge, with the little sachet of
I don't want to know what's on your.
ketchup.
I don't want to know what's on your rider, Leo. No, very good point. Very good point. Look, do stand by because we're about to reveal today's Union Jackass and Greatest Britain. But first, some feedback coming in. Trish4977 says, celebrating the enemy within as we become the next Iran and our leaders sit and watch. Holly Hobo Hunter says, young Bob has never shown any aggression against anyone, no matter how vile they were. Shrock Meg says, as an American, I have known for a long while citizens have wanted Starmer out because of this issue. This will destroy the UK economy as far as visitors ever coming. This is in terms of the Islamist takeover. And Laura Gonzalez says, we must all wake up to this threat to all Western civilization. Islam wants to destroy us. Okay, a reminder of today's Union Jackass nominees. I nominated Nina Mishkov for calling Adam Brooks a member of the Taliban, and Lindsay Hoyle for dancing, introducing Strictly Come Dancing at Parliament. Leo Kurz went a little more niche, but I absolutely love the reason why. This is Jane Mia for her response to the knife attacker who said that actually it was all just proof that our strength lies in diversity. 15% of you voted for Jane Mia. Sorry, Leo. So I was the runner-up and the winner today, and it was close. Lindsay Hoyle got 42% of the vote. But today's Union Jackass, Nina Mishkov, with 44% of the vote, which means that she goes head-to-head with Zach Polanski from Wednesday, Hannah Spencer from Tuesday, and Rachel Reeves from Monday as to who is going to be named this week's Worst Britain in the World. You can get voting after this live show in the Posts tab on YouTube. But Leo, you're nominating Ross Kemp to be today's Greatest Britain. Why?
So Ross Kemp, in the wake of Adolescence, remember the Netflix drama that was actually touted as a documentary in Parliament? I think Keir Starmer called it a documentary, and it's about how the greatest threat to Western society is white teenage boys, incels. And so he'd heard about the threat of incels and how awful they are. So he decided to do one of his shows investigating incel culture, as he does when he investigates gangs or goes to a war zone. And there's an amazing interview where he basically realizes that incels aren't really much of a problem at all. They're not like this source of radicalization. They're in no way comparable to Islamism or something like that. And the penny drops for him, and I just can't wait to watch the whole show and see what he's got to say.
Oh, good. I've been seeing people posting on this, actually, but I haven't had a chance to watch it yet. So that looks very interesting. Leo Curse, the brilliant social commentator and comedian, thank you so much. And do make sure you subscribe to Leo Curse on YouTube.